Most people think an avoidant man pulls away because he simply doesn't care, but the truth is far more complicated, far more human, and far more painful. An avoidant man doesn't back away from an empath because he's indifferent. He backs away because the connection becomes too revealing, too exposing, too honest. Empaths don't just love, they see. And being seen is the one thing an avoidant man has spent his entire life trying to avoid. So let's get straight into it. Avoidant men can't handle empaths for long because an empath's presence shines a light into places he's never allowed anyone to look, a light that reveals the emotional wounds he's spent decades hiding under armor, logic, distance, and independence. And once that light becomes too bright, he retreats. Not because she did anything wrong, but because being known feels dangerous. Avoidance isn't about escaping her, it's about escaping himself. This is the part most people never understand, especially empaths who feel deeply, love honestly, and connect intuitively. They assume his withdrawal is about their worth, but with avoidant men, withdrawal is always about fear. Fear of intimacy, fear of need, fear of vulnerability, fear of being dependent on someone he actually cares about. And nothing activates those fears faster than an empath. Because an empath doesn't just touch his heart, she awakens it. And awakening the heart of someone who's spent a lifetime numbing it feels like psychological chaos. He can't regulate the intensity. He can't explain what's happening. He only knows one thing. You see him too clearly, and he's not ready for that. Empaths have a strange effect on avoidant men. They activate his shadow, the part of himself he represses, hides, denies. Jung taught that every person has a shadow, and the more we avoid it, the more power it has over us. An empath reflects that shadow back to him. Not by lecturing, not by forcing, but simply by being emotionally present. She becomes a mirror he can't escape from, and in the beginning, he's drawn to it. Your warmth calms him. Your intuition disarms him. Your emotional depth gives him something he didn't even know he craved. But very quickly, the same things that attracted him begin to terrify him. Because when he's with you, he can no longer hide behind distance. You feel his shifts. You sense when he's overwhelmed. You notice when he pulls back. You hear the emotions he refuses to say out loud. To an empath, this level of awareness is natural. It's how you move through the world. To an avoidant man, it feels like exposure. Your emotional intelligence uncovers the wounds he spent years rejecting. Your presence makes his defenses glitch. Your intuition makes him feel seen in a way that feels unsafe. And so, little by little, he retreats. But here's what's important. He doesn't retreat because you're too much. He retreats because you're too accurate. Empaths don't overwhelm avoidance with intensity. They overwhelm them with truth. The truth of, you're not as detached as you pretend. You do have needs, even if you suppress them. You want closeness, even though it scares you. You care about me more than you want to admit. Avoidant men live by a simple psychological rule. If no one gets close enough to matter, no one can hurt me. But an empath breaks that rule instantly. She matters. Her presence affects him. Her absence affects him even more. She becomes emotionally significant, and that terrifies him. This is where the cycle begins. First, he feels deeply connected to you. Then, he becomes afraid of how connected he feels. Then, he pulls away to regulate the fear. Then, he misses you and comes back. Then, the closeness builds again. Then, he retreats again. Empaths often interpret this as mixed signals. It's not mixed signals. It's emotional dysregulation. He's not confused about you. He's overwhelmed by himself. Jung wrote that when the unconscious becomes conscious too quickly, the psyche destabilizes. That is exactly what happens when an empath enters an avoidant man's life. You bring emotional clarity too fast, too directly, and too honestly, and he doesn't have the tools to handle it. Remember, avoidant attachment isn't built on cruelty. It's built on fear. Fear learned from childhood experiences that taught him. Needing people is dangerous. Vulnerability leads to disappointment. Independence is survival. Don't get too close. Something always goes wrong. Your presence challenges these beliefs simply by being warm, attuned, and emotionally available. You're living proof that closeness doesn't have to be chaotic, but because this contradicts his childhood map of love, his nervous system interprets your kindness as risk. Not because you're unsafe, because closeness itself feels unsafe. This is why he can't stay in an empath's light for long. Not because he doesn't see your value, not because he doesn't feel the connection, but because the connection forces him to face things he has spent his entire life avoiding: his guilt, his shame, his emotional inadequacy, his fear of intimacy, his dependency needs, his longing for what he's terrified to receive. Empaths don't just open his heart. They reveal all the pieces he's tried to hide. Eventually, it becomes too much, and when it does, he withdraws in the only way he knows how: silence, distance, avoidance. But here's the part that most empaths never see. When he pulls away from you, he also pulls away from himself. The guilt starts first, the guilt of hurting someone kind, then the shame. Shame for not being able to love you the way you loved him, then the longing, the ache of missing the one person who made him feel understood, then the fear that you'll move on and find someone emotionally capable, and finally, the grief. Grief for the connection he destroyed, not because it was wrong, but because it was right. Avoidants do not escape the emotional impact, they just suffer privately. Empaths assume he let go easily, but the truth is, he never lets go. He suppresses, and suppression always turns into inner conflict. Why can't avoidant men handle empaths for long? Because the empath becomes the one person who reveals what he has spent a lifetime hiding. She awakens feelings he doesn't know how to manage. She reflects truths he doesn't know how to face. She brings emotional intimacy he doesn't know how to sustain. The empath doesn't break him. Her presence breaks the illusion he built to survive. And once that illusion cracks, he has only two choices: evolve or retreat. Most retreat, not because she was too much, but because she was the first person who ever made him face himself. That is why avoidant men cannot handle empaths for long. Not because the empath is overwhelming, but because the truth she carries is. And until he's ready to confront his own shadow, your light will always feel like too much. But make no mistake, your light was never the problem.